Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Nicole from Drishti Community Wellness. There wasn't a video posted this past week. I try to go for 2 times a week, Monday and Friday. Sometimes it'll be 1 time a week. And this past week here, or this week that we're on, it was 1 time a week as I'm seeing you today on Friday. I didn't see you on Monday. Had my baby shower over the weekend with some family in town. So just kind of focused on that along with work here in the studio. But today, let's have an alignment video. We'll go over alignment in Virabhadrasana II, otherwise known as Warrior II. So come along with me. Okay, for Warrior II pose or Virabhadrasana II, it's a pose where a couple things sometimes go off. It's one of the poses in the studio that I'll notice things go off a lot, but even with more advanced practitioners, it happens. So generally you're moving into Virabhadrasana 2 from the top of your mat where your feet are hip distance. Now you want to step back. Let's start with the right leg. So my left foot is pointing forward. There's the first thing. The toes on the left foot should point straight forward. The back foot, the right foot, should line up with the left foot, but they're a little different. The toes on the left foot are facing forward. The back foot is at a 45-degree angle where the heel is farther away from the front heel rather than closer to, which sometimes I see. It's farther away. So you start just there like that, the front knee bent. Now notice I'm not in a very deep stance here where I'm coming way down. My thigh can come parallel to the mat. That depends for each practitioner. So you always want to feel powerful in every pose. If you feel like you're sliding or really struggling to keep that long distance, shorten it up a little bit. Because if you're practicing from a place of instability, your practice is going to be unstable and injury can occur. Now, the other main thing or big thing that I'll see in this pose and also other poses is the front knee. So you could back off in this pose when you're starting, even up to here with barely a bend in the knee. You could put more of a bend, but you want to watch when you bend. Notice here how my knee is going over my ankle. Then attention, all the attention is in the knee. And the knee anatomically is an assistant. It's not a leader. So here, if I was just thinking energy-wise, and you can even try it for a moment, it feels like there's pressure in your knee. Kind of visualize how the energy is being sent up into this foot and this knee. Over time, that's not going to be good. So you want your knee over your ankle or behind it. And then also anchoring in the back foot so you feel more equally distributed. You want to have the toes spread. The back foot should go from the big toe mound to the outer heel. So we're always honoring this inner-outer principle. So we have a midline. You start with the midline and open. So that goes to the inside of the foot to the outside. Because sometimes when you have your foot like this, you might be favoring the inside of the leg. And notice when you do that, how your hip is kind of rotated inward. We're going for inner-outer. So you want to open up towards the back heel, and you'll feel that thigh open up. So I'm going to step forward here for a moment and just go with my other leg to kind of balance out a little bit, but same thing that I've just said. And in Virabhadrasana 2, this heel behind heel, there's not the hip distance between the feet that there would be, for instance, in a standing lunge. So you want your toes spread, you drop down. So this is a hip opener, so you drop down as much as is accessible. When you first start dropping down, you're going to feel more energy forward. So once you end up where you need to be, where you still feel powerful, put that energy in the back foot, the back heel, so that your back thigh is opening away from the midline. Your body, if it's your left leg back, you're facing the left long edge of your mat. You want your hips to face the left long edge of the mat. Not at a 45-degree angle or forward towards the top of the mat, but facing that long edge of the mat like two headlights. And you drop down. You do this as much as possible. A lot of it comes from that inner outer, from the inner thigh of the left leg out to the back heel to really open the back leg counterclockwise. And the front leg is doing the same thing. It just might be more accessible to do with the front leg. But you're going from the big toe mound to the pinky toe mound. So another thing that'll happen is the knee will come in. Also, not good for the knee. It's got ligaments all around it. They, will stretch, but unlike muscle, they don't necessarily go back. So you really want to watch that your knee doesn't come in. At any point during your practice, you can always glance down and take a look. And that's one common thing I'll notice in this pose and other poses, but it's just too much emphasis on the inner. So we even it out. Again, if you're feeling stressed in the pose, shorten the stance. As I've said, I'm pregnant, so sometimes I'm going a little shorter than I used to so that I can feel powerful in every pose. I have that relaxing going through my body, so I don't want to overstretch. But you could go down to your thigh parallel with the mat. When you do that, notice it's the back leg that gets long so that the front knee doesn't go past the ankle. It's equal distribution. I can tell that's a little bit too much for me. I haven't also done a full practice right now. You want to do this pose where you're warmed up a little bit, throughout your sequence. It will open up more too. That's another thing. Throughout the sequence, you might go lower. So give yourself grace to be a little higher, maybe in the beginning of the practice. So that's our legs in Virabhadrasana II. It's really important to try to keep that back hip back behind the right hip. So you don't want to push forward. We don't want to push forward in our hip in practice because then you're pushing into the hip joint. You're just asking for hip problems later. So if you can pull it back, sometimes I'll literally put my hand on the hip. It could stay there. You can also wrap your arm around behind you and you'll notice, I've turned back. Hips and shoulders go together. So you'll notice when you do that, your shoulders are also, the left shoulder is coming behind the right shoulder. They should be stacked above one another. Then the arms go out to the sides. Hips are still facing the left side of the mat. The left leg is back. And in Virabhadrasana II, you just gaze over the front fingertips. You watch when you gaze over the front fingertips. Because sometimes the back hip will go with the gaze, but you want to keep that steady, anchored. Sometimes you can put your hands palm to palm is a nice way. Inhale, exhale, open. The left arm stays right arm height. This happens a lot. Or maybe even this. This is more common. And you can look, but this is where going to a studio is helpful, or a live virtual class, because the teacher can see that and correct you. You get tight around the neck. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, palms down. Gaze down at that front knee. Make sure it's not coming in. And you just feel open from chest out to fingertips. Breathing in the pose. Anchoring into back heel. Soft gaze. Release. Notice how I'm coming out of the pose slowly. It's coming out of the pose is just like going into a pose. We want to treat it gently. And again, do that tutorial or that alignment kind of after you've done some poses, or just watch it for now, but warm up a little bit. It will help tremendously. We'll do more of these alignment videos from time to time. I'm going to put them in there because when you practice, it's so important to be practicing in alignment. And sometimes when you're doing yoga from YouTube, you don't always get that instruction. So that's one of my main goals, is to make sure you're practicing safely and practicing with wisdom. Because yoga is wisdom in action. If you'd like to do a short sequence, go to the videos tab of the channel, and there are some there. Make sure, or please, like this video, throw a thumbs up